Yo, what's going on, people? How's everybody doing? This is Arsenal versus Chelsea preview for tomorrow. A very big game. I'm not sure I can even say for both clubs. It's a big game for Arsenal, and Chelsea, as I said, is still stuck in that between a rock and a hard place where they know that they can't battle to win the title, but they can't really lose top four either. So for Chelsea, it's just maintaining the status quo of being that team that is going to get automatic qualification into the Champions League. I know they're looking at some silverware with the FA Cup. So we'll be talking about how Dave is looking forward to that. Dave, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Just obviously went up to Wembley to watch the Chelsea Palace game, and yeah, it wasn't. It was mostly quite a weirdly frustrating game until we got the goal, and then it was that. But yeah, obviously we're here to talk about the London derby. So yeah, let's get it. Let's go.
Yeah, it was a weird one to. It was a really weird one against Crystal Palace because the game sort of sat for a little while, making you think, did Palace really have a chance? But
Mm.
then, Chelsea just came through with the quality towards the end of the game, and you kind of got what you expected. But was you a little bit concerned? Was it? Would you think, oh no, here we go?
I think there was just an element when I was watching it of us probing so much to try and work an opening, and then it was just a case of going, you know what, we need to break through somehow, some way, whether it was a lot, maybe try a long ball over the top to Werner, or you know what, somebody have strike a ball from outside the box. But in the end, we kind of. I believe it's actually from a long ball over the top that kind of set up around the kind of box, and then obviously the ball popped out to Loftus Cheek, who kind of who slotted it. To be fair, great finish. But there was definitely worries there, and I think that's it. Could bearing in mind, I don't think Arsenal can really set up like Palace did
Mm.
against Chelsea. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything that you can really take away from that game unless you wanted to maybe go for a point, but I don't think you guys can afford to really. You have to come out for the win. And I don't think you should really be scared of us at all. I think you have to go out there and play your own game.
Yeah, so let's go on to the preview as the game is going to be very, very important for as I said, mostly for us, for yourselves. I think you guys are going to be sort of looking at what type of Arsenal team is going to turn up because you've
Mm.
had some pretty tough games against Arsenal over the years. It isn't like a one-sided dominance thing, which Man City and Liverpool have had over Arsenal. You've had your fair share of bouts with Arsenal, especially at
Mm.
Stamford Bridge. Um, and where we are at Stamford Bridge at the moment, they've come off back-to-back home defeats against Brentford and Real Madrid. And the last time you got lost three in a row was something like nearly 30 years ago. So,
Mm.
I think the frustration for Chelsea, and we'll have a look at it later on, is that they've only won 50% of their home games this season. So that's a concern that they've only had 26 points from their home ground. So that is something where you can look at it and say, if we fix that, then next season, then Chelsea can then look at challenging for the title. So it's a kind of really
Mm.
easy thing for you to build the matrix up, like what has happened at home. That will be the thing to fix for Chelsea. So in terms of your injuries, where are you at the moment? I know Mateo Kovic, he's a doubt, being
Yes,
forced off from Crystal Palace, ankle injury. Ross Barkley, he missed a trip to Wembley due to illness. What do you think of Ross Barkley?
I think I think he's dead wood. To be honest with you, he's not. He served his purpose. I think for the money we actually bought him for, I think it was about 15 million. And
Yeah,
bearing in mind he's English, so you normally get English tax on that.
yeah.
He's been like for all intents and purposes, he's been an okay buy. Not someone who's lit the world on fire or anything like that. He's come in, been a squad player, and come into the team when he's needed to. So he's been okay for us. But yeah, Kovacic is a doubt, and there's I think you'll find probably Kante will come into this game, who
I
hasn't
thought
actually. been
Yeah,
in
he
the.
hasn't played. Yeah.
No, well, he played obviously the second leg of Madrid and done Kante things, but then didn't. I mean, the energy's always there, but there was little signs that he wasn't right, if that makes sense, and even there was just elements of people kind of almost like blaming him a little bit for some, for some of the Madrid goals as well, or the Madrid goal with Modric, and then obviously the other one as well, for not getting across or not being proactive. So I don't know whether obviously he's fasting as well, whether that's really affecting him.
Because he just turned 31. So do you think he's on the slide? Very difficult. That position you can really play until you're 33, 34, 35. It's not in a position where like a wing or striker where okay, 32, 33, that's it, your legs are gone. It's not that kind of position. So what do you think? Because his future for Chelsea looks in doubt. Do you think he's past his sell-by date, or it's just the coach wants to play a certain way and he doesn't fit the system?
I think he wants to play with energy, and I think what we've seen recently with Kante is he hasn't been himself as of late. I think it's probably due to kind of fasting and really not, because the main thing with him is energy and him being proactive in midfield, closing people down, winning the ball. I think kind of him fasting is taking a massive toll on him, and I think even if he was kind of slowing down, which maybe he is, but I mean I look at last year and I think the run to the Champions League that we had, I wouldn't. There's no way I'd get rid of him. For me, I kind of do what Chelsea done with Essien a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember with Essien, he really slowed down, to be honest with you, and it was injuries. And I think with a player like Kante, you're not going to get a like-for-like replacement for him. There's no one in the world that can do an N'Golo Kante role, or play similar to him. I would personally play him until literally bang, that's it, and he can't play no more. I would, it sounds bad, but I'd almost run him into the ground. Get as much out of him as you can, and then kind of see where it takes him, really, because he's that much of a world class player that you can't really go anywhere. You don't want to let someone like that go. I'd hate for him to be in another shirt if he managed to get his form back the way that he can. But I think injury wise, I feel like Rudiger picked up a little knock as well. But I think he'll play. But I think you'll find it will probably be midfield, maybe Kante, Jorginho. I believe maybe Ziyech might come in. Mount might get a rest. It wouldn't surprise me if Lukaku starts as well. You got to think we've gone from 120 minutes and then obviously onto Palace as well. I think he might rotate it a little bit, and I know you said that we're kind of in between that. We can't win the league or we're not going to challenge, and it looks like we're not going to fall out of the top four. I mean, crazier things have happened, and I want to get I want to get top. Like we're not going to win the league. We're not going to challenge the top two. My fear is I don't want to fall out of that top four, and I don't really even want to make it close, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you want to cement it. You want to cement it.
So I think it is quite an important game for us to basically just go right. Try and get the win here, and just make sure that we've got that secured. Third spot secured. So going into remaining games, we've got that gap there, and yeah, we can maybe start rotating players, maybe start experimenting a little bit more as well.
Because the funny thing I mentioned is in regards to where Chelsea is at the moment is that Arsenal actually don't need to beat Chelsea to make the Champions League. It's really weird. I mean, I was doing the math today and I thought to myself, because this is our game in hand. So if we get a point against Chelsea tomorrow and then win our last 6 games, we'll actually finish 4th. Because the trade-off would be winning at Spurs. Winning at Spurs means everything. That's like a 6-pointer to us. So I know our form is really bad. The injuries are bad. Everything's just capitulated on us right now. But the bottom line is, you sit down. If Arteta looks at those guys in the locker room, it's just like, guys, we're still in it. We can make good all of the bad form that we have had of late. So it's really strange that I'm sitting here and looking at the situation could change. I'm not saying it will. Obviously, with injuries and current form, I can't see any way out of it. But a reaction is a reaction, and players can react. We've seen the low levels of urgency, the low levels of the heart, the desire has not really been there. They're not playing like their life depends on it. They're not playing like they want to get in the Champions League. And that's something which the players have really let the fans down. They've let the manager down. They've just let themselves down because you're I can't believe the last 3 games I've been watching. It's like, do you guys actually know what's on the line here? Champions League football.
But these are the games. I'll tell you what, these are the games that you come into, you get a result against us, and then it's the other games that you don't win. And you kind of you get a result against us, and you think, right, that's going to kickstart us again. We're back in form almost. And then it's the games that you expect to win that you don't, and it's happened so many times. Like even with us, or you see. Almost at the weekend, I think there was drop points, wasn't there, from really everyone, and even tonight with United dropping even more backwards.
Nobody wants it. Nobody wants the Champions League.
I know.
Nobody wants 4th place.
There's just an element there of, someone's got to assert themselves and take charge. And I don't think Arsenal can sit back. I really don't. I think you have to go for it, and every single game now has to be almost cup final-ish. Mentality of, right, we need to just keep getting wins on the board. Even if you come out of a draw, it's not the worst in the world. But
because they're still in it. If they draw Chelsea, they'll just regroup over the weekend, and then they'll be pushing for. I mean, we have been told that Partey's injury is not good. He's not officially out for the season, but the fans are just like, he's gone, man, because the scans came up bad. But it's not completely out of the window that he comes back. And obviously Tomiyasu is due back from what we're told any day now. I don't think that's going to happen. I'd be surprised to see him play at all. He hasn't played since the beginning of the year. But I'm just saying that none of these things are consistently accurate. Things can change. And I'm sitting here thinking, there's that small percentage. If I had to say my percentage of whether they'd finish in the top 4, I'd probably say it's about 10%, because I really don't know what team's going to turn up. Yeah. I really don't know what team's going to turn up. If they lose to Chelsea, then they've got a problem, because even if they win all their remaining games, Tottenham will still have a superior goal difference. But getting something from, I think that was what was frustrating against Southampton. Southampton was not in that game. They weren't in the game at all. It was all Arsenal. And they threw every forward player on that they had. They threw the book at it. Every option that they had in attack, they threw on and they couldn't score. So I don't know, man. But
I mean, you saw the reaction of, like, Southampton had to have a reaction from obviously the 6-0. And Southampton are a team that you got to kill off quick. I always feel that, if you get an early goal against them, you're kind of on your way a little bit, and you think, okay, that'll quiet them down a little bit. If you let those games kind of ride out a little bit towards,
you give them hope.
After, you give them hope, and they're always quite dangerous. So, I mean, this is going to be a tough one, I think, because you have to, I think even when we think of Arsenal and Chelsea, the games that we've had in the past, your players have always been up for it as well. Arsenal players really actually have. I can't, and I think with Chelsea as well, if we've got the players out there, obviously I think Thiago Silva actually will come back into the side as well, because he didn't play.
So Hudson-Odoi, he's out. Ben Chidwell, he's out. Who else is out? I think Lukaku might play, considering how much he terrorized Arsenal's defense in the second week. I don't know. He might put him back in. He might put him back in and say, "Go out there and do a job."
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one because we've had Werner, who's kind of come a bit to life, obviously in the past few games. Obviously, you've had Southampton game, the Madrid game, he scored as well. You almost want to keep that ball rolling with him, but I think when you've got a squad like we have, you want to utilise it. And I think people like Pulisic might come in, Lukaku might come in, even Ziyech could come in as well, just because it's, you've come from Sunday to now tomorrow. It's such a short time span that you want to keep as many players fresh as possible. But then I know Tuchel's, when he's got something in his head and when he's got something that works and he trusts it, more importantly, he'll keep going with it. So I don't know. It's a real odd one. It wouldn't surprise me if he just kept majority of that lineup. Maybe Kante for Kovacic, straight swap. Maybe Thiago Silva for Christensen. And I reckon he might take someone like Mount out and maybe even play Havertz on the right side and maybe Lukaku up front. So I think Lukaku has to play. Otherwise, it'll be three games without him even starting. I think he's almost bound to play this game.
I just want to see what they do as far as him, really. I mean, is that it for him? Is he now going to be moved on after just 1 year? I mean, if he is, then I'd love to see him at Arsenal. We need a striker. We need a striker badly. He knows the Premiership. He scores goals. Good international player as well. I don't. The fact that he's got a better record than Drogba speaks volumes. And it's a system thing, really. He just doesn't suit Tuchel's system. He just doesn't suit it. I'll talk about Arsenal.
Yeah, I was going to say just a quick one on that. I think the whole big number 9 striker, the bully striker, could be, almost
extinct.
Extinct or coming out of it. Obviously, the big one is Haaland. Obviously, he looks like he looks like a player. But when you look at Chelsea and the way that we play, and almost the other top two as well, Liverpool and City, they don't play with a conventional number 9. You almost play with the striker playing a false 9 role, somebody who's good on the ball, who can come in, collect it, good passing, and it's almost the wingers that do the damage for you, really. And I think, to be honest with you, next season, it has to be Havertz starting up front, and then maybe you want to go and get. Maybe you keep Mount in the side 100% because of his work rate and energy. Maybe you want to try and go and get somebody who's a bit more of a goal scoring threat out on the wing, somebody that you think can get you 15, 20 goals as well.
Like a Mahrez or a Raheem Sterling or something like that. Sterling's contract's going to be up soon. He's not re-signed a new deal, so if they don't sell him this summer, he's going to walk next summer for free. So City's going to have to do something about that. They're not even going to get a lot of money for him because he's only got a year left. Vlahovic was 6'4" as well. So he was another big boy. But so I think that's the way how it's. I don't know how they're going because I've said this before. I've said Liverpool are Liverpool. Chelsea are the Champions League champions, and Man City are the Premier League champions. And all of those teams don't play with a main striker. None of those teams have a main striker. None. So is that the right? What Arteta does in this summer is really going to speak volumes. Is he going to go out and get a conventional guy, or is he just going to do, as you said, going to go and get a Riyad Mahrez type, somebody that can get you 15, 20 goals from that space? I mean, we already have that in Pepe. So my head's gone, really. Why he's not playing Pepe?
I mean,
because Pepe can already do that for you.
I mean, I look at someone like Dybala's out of contract, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. Listen, he's a protege of Pep, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he goes out and gets someone like Dybala, free transfer as well, good on the ball, decent passing.
Hold up play.
Like he can turn. Dybala's quite a nippy nippy player as well that can kind of get shots off and can kind of just fit almost in like a false nine-ish role, and you can put him in there straight away. And he's been around for quite a few years now, Dybala. So I mean, it wouldn't shock me if you guys went for him, especially if you get Champions League as well. And I think that's the whole conversation
That's the
with these
stickler,
big players. You can go and get Isak, Isak and Dybalas and these type of players. They'll come to you, but you need that Champions League spot.
Exactly. So let's read the comments before I talk about Arsenal. So 18 says, evening all, can't wait to see some positive feedback on the coming game. So much negativity from my fan base. Bro, I know, man. I've been just putting my head into family over the weekend. It was the a year anniversary after my father-in-law's passing. So we spent most of the weekend doing that. And then I've been watching the Utah Jazz in the NBA playoffs. So I've been kind of finding distractions to get myself away from what's been going on, just to put myself in a good place, just for my mental health. Kuke says, what's going on, Apollo and Dave? We really ought to beat them with no Kante, Kovic, Callum Hay, and Mount. Mount is missing as well.
Do you know what? I don't think he's missing, but you got to think of the amount of games that he's played. And I think the thing with Mount that I found is he does so much, and the amount of running and the work rate, his work rate is fantastic. That it wouldn't surprise me if he was on the bench and someone like Ziyech come in. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Kuke says, not sure about Kante. He's been off form for a while. I'm hearing he won't start. Mount, I think, is carrying a knock. Okay. Freddie says, Apollo, Dean Campbell, we are in trouble if we don't capitulate. That is, well, I think we already have capitulated. I did mention one thing about a month ago when I started seeing the tables turn, because when we were in fourth place, we had no pressure on our shoulders. We were flying under the radar. We had the games in hand and we had the points. And I think what had happened when Tottenham had taken the fourth place and then we dropped down to fifth, the pressure then was on the young shoulders. And I did say, I don't know what reaction the young team will have, because they've never played with pressure on their shoulders before. And that amount of weight on their shoulders is probably going to be too much for them. And I said it could cause them to capitulate, and it's exactly what's happened. Although there's other factors in the injury to Partey and Tierney, and there's also the COVID from Smith Rowe and Saka. They both caught COVID, and I don't think, not so much Saka, but Smith Rowe definitely hasn't recovered. He has not got the energy levels. He was improved against Southampton, but still nowhere near what we expect.
Well, you had a good cohesion, didn't you, in that team for long stints, and I think
it was Thomas Partey, man. It was Partey, man. When we didn't have him for the Africa's Nations Cup, we had our worst January. We had more red cards than goals in January. It was awful. And then when he came back, it was just bang from there. And best player of the month in February, best player of the month in March as well. And then he's gone. You take out the guy who's just transformed the team and been the best player on the pitch. He's gone. And now you've lost that protection in front of the back four. Now you've lost that link-up play, quick transitional play to Odegaard for the attack. It's just gone. And none of the guys in the middle like Sambi and Xhaka can do that. And watching us now is it's abysmal. And maybe you try El Nene, because you're not getting anything from Sambi and Xhaka. So maybe you try El Nene. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think you guys have got a good reputation of almost against Chelsea. They're playing up to the standard. Even if you've come in a bit of bad form, you look at that game at it was at Stamford Bridge, wasn't it, when Kante slipped and Martinez didn't kind of went in on goal as well. You've always had that. You've been able to play up to that standard regardless of what form's coming into it. And this is it's Chelsea Arsenal at the end of the day. I think it's not any old game now. This isn't this is a game that's going to be. Is it on TV as well? I presume it is.
Yes, it should be. Yeah, because it's a Wednesday night game. Hold on a second.
So,
Chelsea.
Televised game under the lights. These are the games that
Sky Sports.
Yeah, these are the games that, as a player, you kind of look at and go, right, okay, we're playing against. I mean, we're still European champions, just to kind of, technically. So I think these are the games that you want to be playing well in, as well. So yeah.
So it looks like GK's joined us. It says, "Evening Apollo, what's going on with you, my brother?" And it says, "Looking forward to the match. Honestly, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic in the sense that all we need from this game is a draw, and then we can regroup and win the next. We can win out the season, next 6 games, and then we'll actually finish 4th. But whether we will or we won't, it will still be a chance. We'd still have something to fight for. We're not at the stage now where all is lost. And I think if we lose against Chelsea, even if we win out all of our you still beat Spurs, but then if Spurs win out all their games as well, then the goal difference is going to be the issue. And at the moment, they're like on plus 18 and we're like on plus 8. So they've got a goal difference of like plus 10. So something drastically will have to happen. And remember, Spurs have to go to Anfield. So yeah. I actually think with these 6 games left that Spurs are probably going to drop another 2 games. Yeah, I did say that before the Brighton game. I said they could lose another 2 or 3. So it's not beyond the realms of not happening. I think it's very well. Liverpool going for the title. No way Spurs go up there and win. Not a chance.
I'll tell you what, though. We thought that about going to City.
No, but Spurs have actually beaten City 4 times in the last 6 games.
I know, it's crazy.
That's their bogey team. So, and I said that to Drew. I said, there's something wrong. Out of the last 6 games, Spurs have beaten them 4 times. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, so in terms of kind of like Arsenal, if you don't get 4th place now, let's say, Tottenham get it, what is the feeling behind kind of like Arsenal? Like, do you feel like we've blown it?
Well, we've blown it obviously because of the position that we were in. But we wouldn't have blown it because the squad just wasn't set up to compete for that. And for 2 reasons. One, top 6 was our target, and that would mean 4th, 5th, or 6th. That was our target to get back into Europe. But nobody realized or thought we were going to be in the position that we were in, battling for 4th. And I think if they would have known that, they would have invested something. Edu and Arteta would have done something in January. But because they thought, you know what, where we are now, we could make a run at 6 and probably achieve that because we're not in Europe, we're not in the FA Cup, we're not in the League Cup, we've just got those. So what they did is they just cut the fat. They just trimmed the fat off the team, saved about 36 million from January to July, which is a huge amount of money in salaries and wages. And then they just thought, look, well, let's go with the hands that are dealt. But the 2 things there is that they didn't invest and Spurs did, and those investments are helping Spurs. Yeah. We needed that. Secondly, we didn't account for the injuries to Partey, Tomiyasu, Kieran Tierney. We didn't account for all of that. And that's really destabilized the team. So I think right now, the front office, Vinay, Edu, Arteta, all them guys are kicking themselves, thinking, God, if we'd have only brought in 2 players, or if we didn't send Maitland-Niles out, because we could have done with a Maitland-Niles in the middle of the park right now. He's a beast. Yeah. So it's a real shame. But for me, the only sour point is it was in our grasp. Yeah, that's the only sour point. The main focus is to finish top 6 and to get back into Europe. That's the main focus. So for me, if we finish 5th or 6th, I'll be saying we've hit our target. That was our target. We've hit our target. Some of the fans will take a negative side to it and think we blew top 4. It's all about the Champions League. No, it wasn't. The team ain't good enough to make the Champions League. How can you make the Champions League top 4 with the striker alternatives that we had? You knew in January what you were going with. You were going with a guy in Lacazette who scored 2 goals from open play all season long.
Yeah.
That ain't going to get you in the Champions League. Chelsea, with all their might and their fantastic attacking midfield players, goals everywhere in Chelsea. Let me run through them. Chelsea, 13 goals from Havertz. Mason Mount, 12 goals and 14 assists.
Yeah.
That is insane. Lukaku ain't even playing, and he's got 12 goals. Can you imagine? He's got double the amount of goals as Lacazette, and he ain't even playing. Timo Werner, who was a third option, 10 goals and 6 assists. Jorginho, somebody who was supposed to go to Arsenal last summer, 9 goals and 4 assists. When you look at that, 9 goals, our central midfielders haven't got 2 goals between them.
I think Smith Rowe's having a good season, isn't he?
He's having a good season, but he's been dry for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Coming up to Christmas, he had scored 10 goals. But in the last, he's only just starting because the fitness hasn't been there. Then he's had COVID, and he's been poor in the second part of the season. He's been very poor. So Jorginho's got 9 goals. Ziyech has got 7. James has got 6. Pulisic has got 6. Rudiger, who's a defender, has got 5 goals. The same amount of goals as Lacazette, and he's a centre back. So when you see the craziness in where your team's success has been, everybody's scoring in Chelsea. But when you look at Arsenal, you've got 10 goals from Smith Rowe, 10 goals from Saka, and you start to, Martinelli, Odegaard have got 6. Lacazette's got 5. You start to really kind of lose everything as you go down because there's no goals, there's no option. We've scored, I believe, Arsenal, let me have a look here. We've scored 1 goal in our last 5 games, and that was a deflection from 40 yards. Odegaard. 1 goal in our last 5 games.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you do get Champions League, it would be a massive achievement. But that's where the names come from. Like, you have to,
of course,
if you want to almost progress, in terms of maintaining now that top 4, you can't just get to a point where you go, oh well, we've got 5th or 6th and we'll build on that. Like, no, your chances now, that window's open. It really is in your own hands.
It's in their grasp, and they just the squad isn't strong enough to push for it. When you've got, like I said, Chelsea's midfield, when you've got Son and Kane up front for you, who are just between them, they've got more goals between them in terms of a duo than anybody in the Premiership has ever seen.
Yeah.
And then you've got Lacazette.
Yeah. And then who knows what's he going to do next year? You're going to lose him on a free,
Yeah, I mean, right now, I don't think any Arsenal fan cares because he ain't done anything for us this season. I don't think any Arsenal fan. I know I did a poll about it a couple of weeks ago, and it was like 82% of fans didn't want him. It's because he's done nothing. This is your solution. And Lacazette this season, no goals. He ain't scored in 11 games. I mean, it's really bad. And to tell you how frustrating it is on Arsenal, this is our last 5 games. 74 shots in terms of the games that we've lost. Yeah, 74 shots, 18 on target, 27 corners and no goals. That's what we're working with. That's what we're going into Chelsea with, and it's really frustrating. So I don't know how they're going to get around it, but for me, I think it's a way to ignite the team, and a result tomorrow could be really down to use those early attacking options which you had on the second half. When Arteta just threw the kitchen sink at everything. Start those players from the get-go. Put Pepe on from the get-go because he ain't suffered from COVID. He hasn't got any poor form. He hasn't started. So use those options and just change it up. Don't put out the same tired starting 11. Put El Nene in there. Put Pepe in there. Do something to change the shape of the team. And because this is where you're at right now. You've lost your best players. You lost Partey. You just don't have Kieran Tierney. Tomiyasu's not back. So you've lost that stability. Don't sit on what doesn't work. Try something new. So going back to Chelsea, what would you say is your projected team sheet? Name me your starting 11 for tomorrow.
So I think you've got a possible one up there, yeah. Mendy, James, 100%. I think Silva would come in. Rudiger, Aspi and Alonso. Potentially I mean, Asp, maybe I'm not too sure. Not too sure on Asp. Maybe, I mean, maybe you go Christensen. Maybe back in there and rest Asp. I think definitely Alonso because we ain't got anybody else to play left wing back.
Oh, Tony, I thought Tony was coming in the podcast. He says hi. Yeah, we're finishing up now, Tony. Anyway, so don't worry too much about it, mate.
So I think that kind of back five. I'd say Kante and Jorginho. I think he'll rest Mount. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes with either Ziyech or Pulisic because they've been missing for the past couple of games, or they've played very minimal amounts. I mean, he could even arguably go with a completely new front three. I mean, I would like to see him play Werner still, but it wouldn't surprise me if he goes Ziyech, Pulisic, Lukaku, and gives them a good run out.
Yeah, because I like I said, I think he will unleash Lukaku considering what he did to Arsenal in the second game. Mind you, they didn't really have any stability there because they had nine players out with COVID and all their new signings didn't really turn up. So it would be interesting to see what Ben White and Gabriel's not in great form at the moment. Ben White's playing okay. But I'd like to see Lukaku in there and see how they deal with him because that's going to be a problem for them. Respective of the squad depths and the confidence, the two sides will certainly sort of come into play here. Who's going to play? It'd be nice to see it shaken up a little bit. For me, I would probably go with Ramsdale, Cedric, White, Gabriel, Tavares. I thought Tavares did okay against Southampton. I've put Xhaka and Lokonga, but I'd find a way to get El Nene in there. And then I've put Saka, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and Martinelli because that's the same team that started against Southampton. That's what I think Arteta will do. But what I hope he does is takes out Smith Rowe and puts in Pepe. I just think you got to a stage where you can't even play Smith Rowe right now because his form is so bad that you have to drop him and see what you've got in Pepe. So out of this, I would probably take out Xhaka or Lokonga for El Nene, and I would take out Smith Rowe for Pepe. And I don't think there's any much else. I don't think you can do much because your squad is so thin. You've got 14 players to choose from.
El Nene's energy as well is always been up there, hasn't it? He's always
he can defend.
He can defend and he's got energy. And I think when you're coming off, the Madrid game and the Palace game, like even if we kind of somehow psyched ourselves up for the Palace game, I think the one thing you've got to be quite hopeful of is Chelsea come down a little bit. It doesn't help when we've got the options that we've got to come in and play, but I think if I have to, at some point that kind of heights that we kind of come up against. I mean, the Madrid game was just fantastic. We absolutely outplayed them at their own ground, and it's just Modric and probably energy let us down at the end. And then I think the Palace game we weren't really in trouble. A couple of set pieces where we were, but at some point, like I said, that has to. Energy-wise and stamina-wise, some of those players are going to take a bit of a hit, and I think this could be it. On a midweek game,
You guys have played a lot of football as well, man.
Yeah,
like I saw Liverpool today, and I was like, Liverpool. What's this like their third game in 9 days? It's just the fixtures are coming thin and fast. We haven't really had any of those issues. But let's talk about predictions now, guys. Let's talk about predictions. Guys in the chat, put your predictions up so I can see them. The predictions are already starting to come through. Cool K says, we need to score 2. Any hope of managing a draw against Chelsea because Chelsea would score 2. Facebook user is Freddie. Freddie says, I'll just say El Nene is a solid midfielder who for 5 million is worth playing tomorrow as he gives his all. Yeah, I mean, remember the masterclass against Old Trafford last season when he was at Basel as well? The reason why we bought him was because he played Steven Gerrard off the park in the Champions League twice in both legs. So there is a player in there. It's just that's what happens when Arsenal don't really settle in on a player and he's just been made a bit part player. He'll leave us and he'll go and have a solid career somewhere else. 18 is saying he's going for 2-2. Cool K's going for a Chelsea 3-0 win. Freddie's going for a Chelsea 3-0 win. I'm going for a Chelsea 2-0 win. I don't think we're going to score. I think I've not seen anything from our team to show me that we're going to go out there and score tomorrow against the third best team in the league. However, that being said, I would like it to go. I would love it to be a 1-1 draw. I want a point. I think in my dreams and my heart, I think that if we are up for it, we can go out there and earn a point. And if we do, they will make the fans so proud because, as I said, a point tomorrow brings us back into play. That means that we can win out the 6 games and get in the Champions League. GK's going for a draw as well. Yeah, I mean, that's really what that would be a fantastic result. That would lift hearts and spirits. It would give the fans a boost. It would give the players momentum, which they can take and build from it. Because Man United are coming into the Emirates, and the fans will do their part. The fans will lift the Emirates and really get behind the team. So Freddie says, "I'll take a point and a goal." Which I have to drink afterwards. Yeah, I listen, we're going to be streaming the game here, guys. I might be drinking some rum when that game's on, just to calm my nerves. Your prediction, Dave?
I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea. I think we're probably just going to have, if anything, I think that rotation that we can have is going to be vital for us, especially if it does go with the kind of the Ziyech, Pulisic and Lukaku. I think, bearing in mind Lukaku, you see the miss at the FA Cup game. That was, for a player, that's his worth. He's got to be scoring that. I think Ziyech and Pulisic left a lot to be desired when they come on against Madrid. I think they've got a bit of making up to do. I'd say, for their performances when they come on and they got substituted on. So I think those players are going to, hopefully, you'd imagine, be chomping at the bit to prove themselves a little bit. And I think if I'm looking at it from an Arsenal perspective, I would actually come out and try and play as fast as possible. Yeah. You know, don't allow us to play from the back. I think you've seen it in the FA Cup game as well, when we were probing Palace so much, and when we dominate teams like, you know, when we went to Madrid, if you allow us to start playing out from the back and playing our stuff, then, you know, you're really resounded to staying in your own half and trying to hit us on the counter, which can work. I'm not saying it can't, but I think if you're Arsenal, and bearing in mind what a result would mean to you guys, I would be all up for going, right, you know what, we're just going to not let them play short, don't give them any time. Jorginho wandered on the ball a little bit also in that Palace game. Get on him as quickly as possible. Almost have somebody to man mark him, you know, in the middle, and just stick on him, make sure he can't turn out, and play with a lot of energy. And I think if you can do that, there could be a draw in there for you. It could be a 1-1 draw, but I think it will be 2-0 Chelsea.
I think the most important thing for me is that Brentford went there and won 4-1.
Yeah,
and Brentford aren't better than Arsenal. Even with our injuries, Arsenal can look at that game and think, well, if Brentford could go there and give them a game, we can go up there and get something out of this game. GK says press their back line and midfield. Yep. Fred saying, so I'm praying that we can at least score, but I can't see it, to be honest. Yeah, that's my problem. I'm just looking for goals now because, like I said in the other shot, we've had 74 shots, 18 on target, probably 19 corners and nothing, like no goals, like nothing. And now you're going against Chelsea. So I just want to see what happens. I want the players to show me something. Show me something. That's what I want to see.
Do you know what? When teams play against Arsenal, you know, they can potentially try and sit back a little, they can potentially try and sit back. You know, at Chelsea, we're not going to sit back. And I think we're going to try and maintain possession, of course. So you're going to have areas to exploit potentially over, maybe over the top. If you can get Saka on his bike, if you can get Martinelli maybe working the channels potentially as well, I think you can find some joy from there. So there will be ways for Arsenal to work themselves into this game. It's just I don't think early doors you can let us dictate the tempo of the game. If you do that, then it's going to be kind of similar to the FA Cup game we've just seen with Palace. I think you're going to sit back and you're going to have snippets of chances or half chances, but I don't think anything's going to come of it. Whereas, if you really play aggressively and you try and turn our defence a little bit, then you could have some joy.
So this sheet, guys, is the home records for the Premier League, and you can see here on the home form, Chelsea are 11th. Chelsea in their last 6 games at home have won 2, drawn 3, and lost 1, and we can't really include the Real Madrid game because that is in the Champions League, but this is just in the league. So Chelsea have won 2 out of their last 6 home games, and I think that's where Arsenal can go at them and make Chelsea feel a little bit nervy about the game tomorrow. I think if they can try and get some momentum, then they might get. This is where I think it can happen. If it happens, it can happen right here. That you're dealing with a Chelsea team that's very nervy. I mean, when you look at this, they've scored 8 goals, but then they've let in 8 as well.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show they do have that bit of nerviness about them when they're at home. They're not a solid team right now at home, and I think that's where we can get them. But that's it from me, guys, and that's it from Dave. Any closing comments, Dave?
Well, I think you've said it there. It's not prime Mourinho when it was the fortress at home with Chelsea. I mean, it's going to be a difficult game for Arsenal. Like I said, if you want to say keys to victory, don't let us dictate the tempo. Really, I would press high. I would put pressure on our back line. Don't let us kind of start passing out from the back. And if you can do that, I think there could be a 1-1 draw in there for you. Bearing in mind it's also London derby, I think players will understand what this game would mean to the fan base as well. But if you don't do that, if you let us get into our rhythm, into our tempo, and if Chelsea players show up like that, like they can do, it could be a 2-0 job, I think.
Excellent. All right. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that, Dave. Guys in the chat, thanks for all of your input. We can't do this without you. You're our guys, man. Big shout out to everybody on Twitter who's tuned in. Big shout out to everybody on Footy Banter page on Facebook, on 101 on Arsenal Facebook forum, and everybody on YouTube as well. Big appreciate that to you guys. We love you, man. And listen, tune in. We got the game tomorrow. I'll be doing it live for you guys in the watch along. So let's watch it. Let's cheer on the boys. Let's enjoy.